Hello everyone, this is Gary. So today we're looking at the 3 steps to sell a product. Now it's worth just pausing for a moment to reflect on the fact that we're talking about selling a product and not a service. In fact, it's a different technique if you're going to sell a service, and I deal with that in a separate video. But here we're looking at the 3 steps you need to take to sell a product. So the focus on the sales technique is not about the person doing the selling, or indeed the person who's going to buy. It's not surprisingly all about the product that you are selling. Now, in order to do that, you have to first identify a need in the person buying. And indeed the terminology we use is customer, whereas if we're talking about services, we talk about clients, and that's really just to emphasize the difference here. So it's the 3 steps to sell a product. And the first step, as I will come on to in the video, is you have to identify a need in the customer for that particular product. There are a number of techniques and ways of doing that. When you've done that, you've then got to create a link between the need of the customer and the product that you have to sell. Now, that seems fairly straightforward, but actually it can be a bit harder than it sounds, but with the right techniques, it's much easier than you might think. From then, you've got to then move forward into a close. So you've identified the need, you've shown that the product will satisfy that need, and there are techniques for doing that. And you've then got to finally recommend the next step, which is to bring the sale to a close. And that's basically the 3 steps. But as I cover later in this video, you need to have in mind a number of techniques so that you can encourage those steps to take place. Now, I know that at this stage of the video, I'm going to be hearing a lot of people saying, look, that's fine, you've outlined what you're going to do, please can you just get on with it? So that's fine, that's exactly what we shall do. So, without further ado, and with bated breath, as they say in all good videos, let's get into it. Okay, so let's get into it. We're looking at 3 steps to sell a product. In other words, how to make that sell. Always read the small print. So, step 1 is to identify a need in your customer. So start with an event that shows there is a need. For example, it's been really hot this summer. Preferably, it's a need that is endorsed by the customer. The customer might have said, I found it hot driving this summer. Or you might ask, have you found it hot driving your car this summer? So the next step then is to link that need to the product. So you show how the need can be met by what you have. Well, this car's air conditioning will keep you cool in the summer. And you recommend the next step. I suggest you buy this one. So, step 3 is to sell, therefore, benefits and not features. In other words, you identify the benefits that match what the customer wants or needs, and not the features themselves. So this car will keep you cool in the hot summer, not this car has excellent air conditioning. You are selling benefits and not features. So a couple of extra points for that step 3 really. Provide some evidence for that benefit that you're trying to sell in terms of numbers, examples, validations, testimonials. And don't forget to close. So, do you want to place an order? Okay, so that was 3 steps to sell a product. And if you're still with me on this, well, thanks very much for sticking with it. Just to recap, you must first identify a need in the customer for the product. You then have to find a way to link that need to the product. And the key to that really is to identify benefits of the product rather than features, because they will fit much more easily into the need you've identified in the customer. And the third step is then to bring the sale to a close. So you recommend the next step. Now, a couple of things that were worth bearing in mind as you go through this process is you need to have some kind of evidence for each benefit, preferably numbers, examples, validations, testimonials. All those sorts of things are really useful when you're trying to emphasize that the benefit that you're trying to sell in order to create that link to the customer which satisfies the need. And in the end, of course, you have to bring it to a close in order to achieve the sale. So, the 3 steps to sell a product really is as simple as that.